4 goals at Ewood Park, a John Eustace masterclass, debutants scoring, end the season now. Who cares about the other 45 games? Welcome to Where Rovers Walk. We've got our whole squad assembled to run through the Derby game and, of course, look ahead to the trip to Norwich. This is Where Rovers Walk. Press subscribe and we'll do some titles. Yes, welcome back. Our team of Rovers experts, Harry, Tom, Jason and Mark. I won't ask how you are because I can see the smugness on your faces. Let's go straight into it. Harry, did that even surprise you, the result against Derby?
Yeah, well, I suppose we couldn't really ask for much more. I think a lot of Blackburn fans would have been confident we'd have got the result. The fact that we did it that emphatically, I'm sure surprised a few. A really dominant display, especially in the first half. The way we responded to them scoring, and a couple of Davidsons and Sammy Smollett getting on the score sheet. What more can you want?
Maybe for the last time. Tom, the substitutions, is it fair to say changed the game?
It was really great to see a manager go on the front foot and not kind of sit back. And when Derby inevitably came into the game after Blackburn's initial dominant spell for the first quarter of an hour, Derby won the front foot. And when they scored the equaliser, I thought it could go. I've seen this before. Blackburn can tend to collapse under recent managers. And to fact, Eustace brought on the 3 subs on the hour mark, and all 3 subs then came on and scored. I know Derby obviously did score before they once they came back on, but I think the goal for Vyman, Smollett did what he normally does, and the chip by Hashi was just brilliant. And so many players would snatch at that in the past, and it was just great to see the impact that all 3 subs had, and how all the team kind of rallied together when the subs came on, especially when obviously Derby were back into the game. And in recent years, I've watched Blackburn on Sky and many a time, and it's just gone absolutely pear-shaped. So it was great to see Blackburn get the result.
Okay, I thought it was going to be a goalkeeping joke then. We'll come on to him in a minute. Jason, there's a guy who didn't grab the headlines because he didn't score. But for me, I watched his performance, and that was your new striker in Guy. How impressed were you with his contribution?
I thought he was fantastic. I thought his everything, his link-up play, his movements off the ball, he was always looking for space. He was always available for a pass. He was always looking to lay the pass off and make another run after he'd laid it off. He wasn't like he'd hold the ball up, lay the pass off, his job done. I thought everything. I thought he was vital to us defending corners as well as the threat he posed on a corner. It showed within a minute of him going off. We conceded from a corner. In fact, we conceded 2 goals from corners crossing the box. So I think I thought he was brilliant, both ends of the pitch. Certainly going forward, but he's smiling when he's playing. He's laughing and joking. He's laughing with the linesman. We're not used to having that kind of attitude from a striker, someone who enjoys the job, knows the strengths, plays to the strengths, knows what they're capable of, doesn't try things he can't. He had a couple of shots edge of box, which looked more like passes to the keeper, so maybe that's something he needs to work on. But I thought he was brilliant. I thought his attitude, everything, he was everything we want in a striker. He was all over the pitch.
Okay. Mark, I'll come to you for the defensive side of it. We know how good you were going forward. How did you rate what happened at the back, especially in that first 10 minutes of the second half?
Yeah, well, I must admit, when Derby got back to 1-1, I did fear the worst, to be honest. I thought we would go, and I think, like a few of the others have just alluded to, in recent years, possibly under previous managers, we could have collapsed. I think we all spoke about it last week. I think some of the players that we've added in the forward areas, I think are going to be really good. There's still that question mark at the back door. I mean, no disrespect to Derby, but I do think we are going to come up against better teams than Derby. who could cause us real problems. And I think conceding the 2 goals from set pieces, and again, I know we're going to be touching on the goalkeeper situation, but defensively not great. But obviously, it was overshadowed with the attacking performance and the 4 brilliant goals that we scored.
Harry, there was lots of comments saying, crikey, if Blackburn do keep Sammy, you've got probably, well, on paper, not on paper, but you've got a frightening attacking line there. Probably maybe the best of any championship side. It's not going to happen though, is it? He's definitely on his way.
Yeah, I think so. I think he's one of the. He's a professional, so he's going to want to. He's always going to play. He's always going to play for the shirt. He showed in the couple of celebrations. He was celebrating with the team. It's not like he's down in tools and he wants out, but he wants to play in the Premier League. And who can blame him for the season he had last year? The annoying thing is, I don't think we're going to get quite as much money as we probably should get for him. But we're just not in that bargaining position. Really, we need that money. So I think he will be out by the time the deadline comes around, but I would love him to stay.
And if it does get reinvested into the squad, Tom, what's the absolute crucial position that needs to be sorted out before the window slams shut for you?
Again, that's a hard question. I mean, we're going to touch upon it shortly, but I think goalkeeper is an area we need to definitely strengthen, because we've only got really one first choice goalkeeper at the moment in Ainsley Pears, which we're going to touch upon soon. I think it's not necessarily getting new players in. It's maybe keeping hold of some of the players that we've got. I think I've heard a lot of rumours going around that that Sigurdsson could be off, and that possibly, and I hope he doesn't go, I hope possibly Travis could be off. Although I think how he played on Saturday, it would be absolutely ludicrous to even contemplate selling Travis or doing some sort of swap deal with Stoke for Baker, which I think is an absolute ridiculous decision. So I think it's about maintaining what we've got, maybe adding a few quality players in certain areas. I mean, the defence is good, and I think McFadden coming back has been brilliant. Same with Danny Barker and him in, but I think they are older players, and maybe we need some players in their mid 20s. But I think what we've got at the moment, if we can get Ryo Jermaine in, this Japanese player again, he looks quite a good player on YouTube that I've watched. But I think that all depends on if we can get Sigurdsson out in order to fill the spot that he currently has. So I don't know. But currently, as what Harry has touched upon, I think the squad we've got at the moment, if you'd have asked me 2 weeks ago how we're going to fare, I would have been all doom and gloom. But I think now we've got these 6 players in, all making a difference, all wanting to play for the shirt, all seeming like happy to be there. And I think now that Eustace has had his first proper full window in charge, all the players that JDT kind of brought in, apart from Sigurdsson, have been shipped out. So that kind of speaks volumes to maybe what's going to happen next.
Okay. We are across all 24 teams on the network, and on this, it was no surprise to you when we spoke to Stoke fans about this swap deal. They were very desperate for it to happen, very desperate to land Travis and give you Lewis Baker. I'll read into that what you will. Okay, well, you're on your travels then this week. We'll talk about Carabao Cup in a second, but it's a trip to Norwich, which a ground that you fared pretty well at in the last couple of seasons, including a 3-1 win last year. Let's bring in our Norwich fans to see some depressed fans on this channel, because we haven't got any Blackburn depression going on, which makes a nice change. Here's some Norwich, very sad Canaries. Welcome, Matty. Welcome, Liam, to the Where Rovers Walk. Matty, you heard all that. You've got some Blackburn have got their tails up. It's a bad time to play them, isn't it?
Yeah, it was all. I was kind of getting is secondhand positivity a thing? I've heard of secondhand embarrassment, but it was a very positive little chat, that, wasn't it? So it doesn't kind of make me feel the worst ahead of Saturday, but it's certainly not an ideal sort of, I would defeat 2-0 to a newly promoted side and then playing a side that's just scored all those goals the week before. So, it might be an interesting game on Saturday.
But Blackburn are fast becoming a bit of a bogey side for you at Carrow Road, though, aren't they? I mean, it's bizarre how this happens. Do you put that down to anything? I mean, I think they've had 3 different managers in that time, the last 3 wins. But what is it about Blackburn that Norwich just can't seem to handle at Carrow Road?
I'm not too sure, to be honest, and I'm hesitant to put too much on it in terms of. Listen, I don't want to not give credit to Blackburn. Of course, that would be a foolish thing to not do, and a bitter thing to I don't want to come from a bitter perspective. We've also not been the best of teams over the last sort of 18 months or so. So I'm not too sure. Obviously, there's a couple of very good players which have just been discussed and might be on the way out, certainly in terms of Smodics. But yeah, I'm hoping for a change of fortunes this Saturday, but I'm not overly optimistic that that'll be the case.
Okay. Jason, you won't have caught any of Norwich's game against Oxford, I'm guessing, but Matty will fill you in a second, but they were pretty shocking. Does that fill you with hope that, you could be 6 out of 6 this time next week?
Yeah, I think, and this is no disrespect to Matty or the rest of his fans, but they're not a team I fear playing at the moment. In recent seasons, we seem to do well. I don't know what it is. I think it was 2-0 at Carrow Road last season. We generally start pretty well. The last few seasons, we have started the season pretty strongly. Then we seem to tail off like we did last season. I think going off Norwich's opening result, our opening result, recent form, our recent history at Carrow Road, I'm not really worried about the fixture. I worry about Norwich at home more than I do Norwich away at the moment, and that's no disrespect. We just seem to do better. But then last season we did better away all season. Really, at home we were pretty poor all season. So, but it's the first away game of the season. You never know what tactics we're going to play. We obviously will play differently than we did at home on Friday. There's not many teams play the same home and away, so it's a bit of the unknown of how we're going to line up, how we're going to set up, what our mindset's going to be. And like I said, I didn't see Norwich's game, so I saw the results, obviously, which was a bit of a shock, but I touched on it last week, promoted teams round the crest of a wave. It's a tough opening game. I'd rather play someone who's just been relegated, personally.
Yeah. Don't laugh at them for losing to Oxford, because that could be you guys in a couple of weeks. Matty, where you've got a new manager, obviously. What sort of style, what sort of approach have you seen? What sort of football are the Blackburn fans likely to be watching on Saturday?
I'll be honest that we as fans aren't quite sure yet what to expect, and I don't mean that in a disparaging way to Jonas Hoftorp. I mean that in a sense that he hasn't got his players. So the style of football that he's played previously is very possession based. Everyone plays possession football these days, don't they? It seems, but he plays quite a very patient possession based game. But we haven't got the players to do it at the moment. So I think it could be a little bit of maybe a continuation of Saturday, where it's fits and starts, not quite a bit hit and miss, and not quite where we would like to be. And it's probably, from a Blackburn perspective, it's probably the best possible time for players, really, because it's off the back of that defeat, our first home game. It's the expectation is you pick up your points at home, don't you? So it's going to be a bit of expectation at Carrow Road on Saturday, and it's probably not the worst time we've played.
What you like at set pieces? Are you any good at set piece?
we're not good at anything at the moment, to be honest.
Mark and Harry, ask you this both. Last year, Eustace set up his teams away from home not to lose first and foremost. Do you think, with all the attacking prowess we've now got on the bench and in the starting 11, that we're going to see something different, or will we still see the very pragmatic, also dogmatic approach to away games?
Well, I think Eustace has got a style, and he likes to stick. Even the Derby game, when we were pretty dominant, when you look in the second half, we that's where the Derby pressure came from. We were sort of soaking up and wanting to hit them on the attack, on the counter attack, and that's at a home game. I think going to away somewhere like Norwich, I think we're going to try and implement a similar style. And I think that if, like what Matty says, if Norwich are going to try and play a real possession-heavy, slow build-up kind of football, playing that sort of more direct, a bit rugged style probably suits Rovers a bit better. Being if we're not having to sort of match them man for man in terms of out possessioning them, but if we can soak up a bit of pressure like we know we can do, that's what Eustace really made work at Rovers when he first came in. We were leaking goals. He showed us that we know we can soak up pressure, and if we can hit him on the counter, especially if they're playing Duffy and Hanley at the back again, we know we can have them for. I mean, they played at the centre half for us about 15 years ago, so we know we can burn them for pace. So I think we will see a similar style, because away from home, it's going to be a lot to go to Carrow Road and try and outplay a team like Norwich.
Mark, anything to add to that?
I agree with Harry, to be honest. I think the one thing I do like about John Eustace, I do think he'll mix it this year. I think he's a manager that knows how to mix it, and I think we'll see his attacking a lot more at Ewood and trying to get a bit more on the front foot. But I do think away from home, I think, like Harry said, I think we will try and soak up a bit of that pressure and try and catch teams on the counter. So I think Saturday will be an interesting game, really, because again, it's Norwich's first home game of the season with a new head coach, and I do expect a reaction from them after their game at Oxford on at the weekend. So, but yeah, no, I do think we'll away from home. I do think we'll try and be solid. Try and be solid and try not to concede first and foremost.
All right. Nice. Well, thank you very much. Let's get a score prediction then from complete. Matty, you can go first as the home side.
1-1, I think.
Okay. Tom, you can take it this week.
I think if we can keep Josh Sargent quiet, because I know he's got quite a good record, then I think there's no reason why we can't get a result. But I see, I'm looking at Norwich's recent results. They are crying out for a win. And normally, if a team is lacking form, they come to play Blackburn, and we all know what happens. So I reckon it might be a score draw, 1-1, 2-2, possibly.
Okay. All right. Cheers, Matty. Thanks for joining us on this one. Good luck against Rovers. We'll catch up with you the rest of the season. Thanks so much. And for the rest of you, let's have a look at some Twitter takes from the game against Derby. Okay, all positive, so we'll fly through these. Harry, the first one, all new signings look great. Guy in particular looks excellent. Travis looked great too. The rest are all decent. Need to work on wing backs blocking crosses. And JRC is not a forward player anymore. Nice to have a strong bench. Can Siggy step up? Anything in there that you disagree with? Anything too harsh?
Yeah, I mean, I don't want to be. I'm all for optimism this week because I don't know how optimistic we're going to get to be this season. So I'm going to focus on the positives. I think one thing I mentioned last week was I wasn't sure how well the new lads were going to be able to blend in so quickly, having not had that much time to adapt in pre-season. But they all looked sharp. They seemed to know the play style instantly. Gay, for example, looked excellent in there. Travis back to his best, playing a sort of role that I'd say we're not really used to seeing Travis. Having Tronstad next to him allowed Travis to play a more advanced role rather than being that sort of deep line playmaker that we probably saw from him before Tronstad was at the club. And he looked a lot more competent in his more attacking, sort of taking on players, forward playing passes. I thought he looked really good. Rankin Costello didn't have his best game. He was relatively quiet, but I think there's a real good player in that. I was one to shout him out last season. He could be a bit a one to watch. Could go under the radar against a lot of teams. I think he's a really bright talent, and if you play him in that, maybe not out on the wide is the position for him, but if you play him in that a bit more of an advanced midfield role, maybe that position will come available if Smodics moves on, we're looking for someone more permanent to fill that role, whether that's him or Dolan. I think that could be a really good role for him. Can Siggy step up like we were saying earlier? He probably will go. The frustrating thing about Sigurdsson is he is clearly one of the most gifted players at the football club, but I don't know if it's an attitude problem or what it is. He doesn't seem to want to be able to take players on like he did before he got a contract. When he's got a contract, he seems to be sort of play within himself a little bit. But there is clearly a player in there, and he was probably one after Smodics. He was probably our most clinical finisher last season. Got himself in really good positions and scored some nice goals when he got into those areas. But I don't know what it is. Something's not right. I would move him on. But yeah, we'll see if he can step up. If he still remains.
There was lots of compliments for the style of goal, as Josh says there in the middle. But it's the last one which I want to ask you about. Jason, I'll come to you. Adam says the scoreline is incredibly flattering for a large percentage of the game, and newly promoted side bullied us at home. There's definitely positives, but it's been a very long season. Do you subscribe to that you were bullied by Derby?
I commented on that tweet.
That's why I put it up there.
No, I commented on that. I'm kind of shocked, other than the fact that we conceded 2 goals from corners, but it's nothing new for us. We're used to not being able to defend set pieces. I'm surprised fans are taking a negative from an home win first game of the season. 4 goals, new signings. He's like I've been here a couple of weeks. We were unsure last week how they were going to settle in. They've hit the ground running. You can't ask any more for new signings. I'm struggling to see where people are finding negatives. You're going to concede early on in maybe first game of the season because you're a bit cold. It's all right playing these pre-season, no one really gets stuck in. Playing on the training grounds, not like matches. So I don't know. As soon as I saw it, I had to comment. It bothered me that we were focusing on the negatives, but it's something us Blackburn fans seem to do. Find the negatives, brush the positives to aside. So yeah, it's. I think we should be focusing on the positives. We've not a lot of luck at the moment, so whatever positive we can get, we should be focusing on for me.
Okay, on that same vein then, Mark, we are going to talk about goalkeepers just to finish off this episode. Harry knows my point of view on Mr. Pez already, because we've spoken at length about I think he's garbage, personally. I'm not going to hold back on it. Is the goalkeeping department, and let's just have a look at it on the screen, shall we, in full? Because you've also got Jack Barrett, who I can't comment on even as an Everton fan, because I think he's played, I think 1 game for a Canadian club. I think that he was sent on loan to, and Joe Hilton. Is this a problem for Blackburn? The current goalkeeper situation, not just in the quality, but in the depth.
Yeah, I think if they don't address it by the end of the window, then it's definitely a problem going into the season with what we've got. I was very critical of Pers. I think I was going to be a lot more polite, but I think garbage was. I can't argue. I was very, very critical of him last season. I think when we lost Kaminski, I mean, personally, I'd said even after this summer just gone, I'd have gone out and bought 2 brand new goalkeepers. I personally thought we needed a brand new number 1 and a decent backup keeper. I don't think that will happen. We definitely need to bring in a strong number 1, and I'd be quite happy to have Pers back as a number 2. As you said, there were 2 lads. Hilton, he's a young lad, and the lad, like I said, we've got from Everton, not seen him yet. So it would be a huge concern if we didn't address that come the end of August and we're going into the season with those goalkeepers. But again, yeah, I'm sure they've got targets in mind. I think obviously we've been linked with 1 or 2 goalkeepers that have not quite come off for one reason or another. But yes, certainly. And again, if we get the money from Sammy coming in, it's definitely got to go into the goalkeeping department to get that sorted.
Tom, do you agree?
To some extent, yes. I mean, I can see exactly where Mark's coming from, but I do like Pears, surprisingly. I mean, he came in when Kaminsky got injured, and he steadied the ship, and he actually played really well that a year and a half ago. And people forget that Kaminsky actually couldn't get back into the side when he actually became fully fit again. I know he is prone to a mistake, and I think Pears is very much a confidence player, and I think he likes to be number one. When he had Volstead last year, and he was utter garbage when he was with us. He was awful. But I think because JDT kept switching them and there was no real clarity as to who was the number one, I think that's when Pears made a few mistakes. But I think the goals at the weekend that we conceded, he couldn't really do much about either one of those. It was set plays, as we discussed before. But he actually made an amazing save on the near post from an in-swinging corner, which they were waxing lyrical about on the commentary. And when I watched it in slow motion, it really was quite amazing. He kept the ball out. So he can do that, but I know he can also have a howler. But I think if he has that confidence in him that he is the first choice, I think he won't be as bad as perhaps some fans think he might be. That's my opinion anyway.
Okay, I'll stay stum on that. Let's get some thoughts on the Carabao Cup before we finish. Who's going to Stockport? Any of you?
Yeah, I'm going tomorrow night.
Okay. Is that a new ground for you? I can't remember the last.
Yeah, it's a new. I can't remember playing Stockport for many years. I don't know if I'm going back to the promotion season of 2001, to be honest. But it'll certainly be a new ground for me ticked off anyway.
Would you all prefer to beat Stockport or Norwich? Just out of interest, Harry.
I think.
Got it.
Thought was beat Norwich, but now you think about it, a cup run would be nice. I think beat Norwich. I think definitely beat Norwich.
Okay. I'm struggling with the Carabao Cup chats I've had with lots of clubs in here, so I'll throw this one at you, Jason, if that's all right. I can offer you now the Carabao Cup in your hand. Okay, I can offer you a final against Burnley at Wembley, and you beat them 3-1, and you're in Europe next season, or I can give you promotion. Right, to the Premier League. What are you taking?
I've got a real affinity with. I know I've got a real affinity. It'd have to be promotion. I think I do like the Carabao Cup. I'm a big fan of it. I think it's great for the youth academy. We do use it to give minutes to our younger players who are on the fringes. So I'm a big fan of the Carabao Cup, and like Harry said, I would like a cup run. I think it benefits the whole squad, even the under-23, so it benefits them all. So, but promotion all day long.
Okay.
Just for us come back down again.
Mark?
Yeah, I think promotion. I think just what it brings financially as well. And I've already seen us win the Carabao Cup or the League Cup, Worthington Cup back in 2002. So I would love another cup run, but I think, it's got to be promotion all day long.
Tom?
Yeah, I agree. I mean, it would be a hell of a ride next year if we went up to go and play some of these big boys and take them on again. I think we'd massively struggle, but it'd be entertaining to say the least. But yeah, I think promotion would be the one that everyone wants, considering we've been down now out the Premier League for 12 years, and amazingly, we've never even got into the playoffs. Even with the team when we had Jordan Rhodes and Gusted and Tom Kearney and all those players, we still didn't get top six. And the only chance we had a chance a couple of years ago, we missed out on goal difference. So I think it'd be a real just get into the playoffs. I'm happy with that. Get into the playoffs. That's what I want. Okay. I'll take that.
I already know what my young friend in the middle there is going to say, but I'll ask him anyway. Go on, Harry.
Well, I was 8 when we got relegated from the Premier League, and I've never seen us win as much as a raffle in my lifetime. So, I mean, it's interesting. The first thought I was Premier League, but as I said, I've never seen us win anything. I think I'm to play devil's advocate. I think it's got to be. I'm going to say the cup. Because then we go on to Europe. We go on to Europe and we go win that as well, and then we.
Absolutely. Rovers on tour. We could do this live from Milan. Right. Okay. All right. Enjoy your trip to Stockport then, Mark. Enjoy your all of your trips to Norwich. We'll catch you next week. Hey, the Burnley game's getting closer, isn't it? We're going to have a Burnley fan in here in a couple of weeks. That'll be interesting. All right. See you then, folks.
Can you
Thank
not
you for
put him
joining us
next
on
to
it.
me? Put him next to Mark.
Hey, he's a big fellow. I'm not going to mess with him, I'll tell you. All right. Cheers, fellas. We'll catch you next week to review all. Nice one.